What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Inanimate Existence, entitled A Never-Ending Cycle of Atonement. This is released on Unique Leader Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Santa Cruz, California, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very philosophical, brutal, progressive, and technical style of death metal. The first time I had ever heard of this band was back in 2012 with their debut full-length entitled Liberation Through Hearing. For a debut album, I thought that album was incredibly revolutionary and far and away different from your usual sort of technical death metal sort of release. There was a lot of really good ideas going on with that album. Lots of great lyrical content, lots of awesome songwriting. It really showcased a different sort of standard when it came to technical death metal with some progressive elements added in there. I mean, the last half of the album, all instrumentation, very well crafted and placed together. I really liked that album, and I was interested to hear what the next step for this band was going to be. And lo and behold, the next step is their second full-length entitled A Never-Ending Cycle of Atonement. It's 8 tracks, and it clocks in at around 44 minutes in length. And pretty much after giving this album many listens, I've come to appreciate the level of depth and substance that this album sets forth to bring. From what I understand, this album is broken up into 2 different halves. The first 4 tracks representing the old world, and the last 4 tracks of this album representing the new world. There's a really amazing story to be told within the context of the album and within the lyrical content. I mean, this is something that you would definitely have to look into buying a physical copy of, because not only are you going to get lyrics to this album, but therein lies the really amazing story to be told that definitely goes along with the theme and the concept of this album. Don't let the colorfulness of the album cover fool you, because beneath the album cover lies some incredibly amazing, fully matured musicianship going on here. And I really love what they did with the Never-Ending Cycle of Atonement. This is definitely something that technical death metal fans should definitely be looking out for, and considering probably one of the best of this year, I would say. Like the previous album, there is a very high attention to detail when it comes to the guitar work. The guitar work is incredibly blistering. I love the way the guitar riffs sound. I mean, as soon as the intro of this album closes, you get to the track Omen, and then you just are taken on an amazing thrill ride with the guitar work on that song. It's just so blistering. It's so heavy. Great riff work, great toning. I just love the technicality of the guitar. It's definitely something that's given great attention to detail. Every solo that shows up on here, and there is quite a multitude of solos to be heard on this album, but every solo that definitely shows up definitely appears when needed to. It doesn't just butt in rudely, it just gets in there quite nicely. Moving on to songs like Bioluminescent Photophores, and then songs like The Catacomb of Mirrors and Staring Through Fire. Just some really intense, well-written solos. I really love the technicality of the guitars that are being used here. It's very vital, and it definitely makes for some incredible songwriting going on here. The bass work is very clean, very warm sounding. It definitely feels like something you would hear on a progressive metal sort of record. I love the fact that it doesn't feel too dominant, but yet when you hear the bass guitar licks, it just sounds amazing. Definitely adds along to the songwriting aspects of this album. I really love the clean bass tones that you hear throughout this album, and especially when it gets to become a little bit more technical. I really love the technical aspects of the bass guitar, and I definitely think it is played incredibly well here. Moving on to the drums, this guy is a drum genius. He knows exactly what he's doing. He delivered a very masterful performance on the last Inanimate Existence record, and on A Never-Ending Cycle of Atonement, he really, really delivers a very, very cleanly, well-balanced drum performance. Lots and lots of great double bass. It just feels very pulsating. It's a pulsating drum performance, and it definitely is showcased here on this album. I love the fills. I love the fast double bass. Just a lot of great rhythms and syncopations going on within the drums, even towards the more slower, more progressive thinking sort of moments of this album. I really, really think the drum work is sensational, and definitely a lot more well thought out than the previous record. I really, really think this drummer is on fire here. And I'm really, really appreciating the extra elements that are added to this record. Like I want to say there are certain instances in the percussion where I hear some sort of bongo tapping going on in certain instances. I don't know if that's what it is, but I feel like I hear that in certain parts of this album. And I think it's really, really awesome to add into the more progressive, meteor moments of this album. And the inclusion of keys, they're very subtle. It doesn't feel like they're trying to be distracting. It definitely adds to the story of this album, and of course, the very, very elaborate concept that's being brought forth here. Moving on to the vocals, like the previous record, the vocals are very, very guttural, very understandable, very well worded, and very articulated. You get a mixture of some very low guttural sounding growls, but then of course you get some mid-range sort of highs, and especially when the vocals are layered together, I think it works out quite nicely, even to when the lyrics are being done in a quoted sort of fashion. Like the layered lyrics are brought forth whenever someone is saying something, and then you get to the normal vocals, and it's the normal guttural vocals, and it feels like it's a narration of some sort. I think it's really, really interesting, and I love that interplay that's being used on this album. And I love the usage of clean vocals. I want to say on the tracks, the Rune of Destruction, and then the closing track, the near closing track of this album, Out of Body Experience, which is around 9 minutes in length. I forget the name of the lady who sings on those two particular tracks off memory, but her vocals are very, very beautiful, very soothing, and definitely another continued instance to this already elaborate concept that this album brings forth to the table. And I'm really, really loving the variations going on here with those kind of vocals. It's unique, it's original, and it feels different. And yeah, like I said, this album has a very, very elaborate and very amazing sort of concept to it. It would take far too long to discuss in this video, but all I could really say is to definitely purchase yourself a copy of this album, read along with the lyrics, and then once you get past the lyrics, you get to the story of this album. It's definitely something that requires your time and your patience, but I believe it resorts in an already amazing payoff. So overall, I think this is a definite step up from Liberation Through Hearing. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful piece of technical death metal. I love the intelligence behind the lyrics. I love the music. I love the atmosphere. I just love how everything flows perfectly together with this album. And I definitely think this is not only one of the best technical death metal releases of this year, but it could also be in my top 20. You never know. There's a lot of great ideas going on with this album. So if I had to pick any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Bioluminescent Photophores, The Rune of Destruction, The Catacomb of Mirrors, and I would have to say the near closing tracks, Out of Body Experience, and the instrumental Dueling Shadows. I really, really think there's some great stuff going on with those tracks. So I'm gonna leave you some links into the description box to some selected tracks that are currently streaming on the band's YouTube channel. I believe Omen and the Rune of Destruction, and I will also link you to their web store where you can purchase a physical copy. Believe it or not, the little purchases do make a difference. If you buy directly from a band, it does make that much more of an impact. They have the CD, great layout, great artwork on the CD and in the inlay and everything. You can buy t-shirts, hoodies, and you can also buy this really, really cool banner. It's a poster flag of the artwork. Very, very nicely done banner, I should say. Definitely something I'll be hanging up very shortly. Get whatever you can. Buy it through the Unique Leader Indie merch. Whatever way you can get a hold of this, it's worth owning. So again, the album is A Never-Ending Cycle of Atonement by Inanimate Existence. This is released on Unique Leader Records. Definitely buy this, and I'm going to give this a very solid 9 out of 10. Really, really intelligent, conceptual, technical death metal. Really, really paving the way for others to follow. So support Inanimate Existence. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Armiho out.